Usually when we look at ancient mythological stories, there's this expectation of fantasy.
Right, yeah, like reading a comic book.
Exactly. Like you see an image of a giant fish saving a handful of people from this massive flood, and your brain just automatically categorizes it.
Oh, for sure. You just put it in a box.
Right. You think, okay, there it is. A nice, simple fairy tale,
Mm.
a clean moral fable about survival, or
Mm.
maybe like a warning about being good so the gods spare you.
Yeah, it's a comforting metaphor. And historically, I mean, we really like things to be easily categorized like that.
We really do.
We put hard observational science in one box over here, and then we put ancient myth and folklore in a completely different box over there. Never the two shall meet.
But then you step into the world of ancient Hindu epics and modern astrophysics, and suddenly that neat little categorization it completely shatters.
Oh, it falls apart entirely.
Because what if I told you that one of the oldest mythological stories of a giant fish saving humanity isn't a fable at all? What if it is actually a highly advanced, deeply encoded text about, galactic collisions, astrophysical mechanics, and the literal survival of biological life across the vacuum of space?
I mean, it is the absolute definition of a paradigm shift.
It really is.
If you look at the evidence we're exploring today, you are going to see how two completely different ways of looking at the universe, right? Ancient, thousands of years old mythology on one hand and cutting-edge space science on the other.
Yeah.
They are describing the exact same astronomical event, just, using a different vocabulary.
Exactly. So we're jumping right into a fascinating stack of source material today for this deep dive. And it maps out a perfect overlap between the ancient Hindu epic of the Matsya avatar, which is the fish incarnation of the divine, and the modern scientific theory of panspermia.
Which is just wild to think about.
It is. And to understand how our ancestors described the universe, well, it might actually be the key to understanding how modern astrophysics works.
Definitely. But, before we can understand how life is actually saved in this cosmic rescue mission, we first need to understand the unimaginable scale of the destruction that threatens it.
Right, setting the stage.
Because according to the ancient texts, this is not just a rainy day. This isn't even just a planetary flood.
No, not at all. It's so much bigger.
The ancient epics describe a concept known as Pralaya.
Okay, Pralaya.
Yeah. Now, Pralaya translates essentially to a state of cosmic dissolution. And this happens at the end of what they call a Manvantara, which is a vast, nearly incomprehensible cosmic age or epoch.
Like billions of years, kind of vast.
Exactly. According to the text, when a Manvantara ends, the Pralaya that occurs isn't local to Earth. It is a literal galactic collision.
Wow.
We are talking about entire galaxies, billions of stars, planets, solar systems, physically crashing into one another.
Which is just a terrifying visual if you really try to picture it. But the ancient epics get even more specific about the mechanics of this destruction, right? Like they talk about something called Sheshnag's poison.
Yes. And this is where the translation into modern astrophysics gets incredible.
Okay, lay it on me.
In the mythological narrative, a massive cosmic serpent named Sheshnag emits a fierce, deadly poison that burns the lower realms of the universe entirely to ashes, right down to a specific realm called the Patala Loka.
Okay, wait, let's unpack this for a second. Because, a giant cosmic snake spitting fire that vaporizes half the universe sounds exactly like the kind of fantasy we were just talking about.
It does, right. It sounds totally made up, until you look at the geometry of what they're actually describing.
Geometry.
Yeah. In astrophysical terms, the research explains that this serpent and its poison represent the polar energy of a galaxy, specifically what modern astronomy calls a Fermi bubble.
A Fermi bubble. Okay, so for someone trying to picture this right now, what exactly is a Fermi bubble?
Okay, so if you picture a galaxy as a flat, spinning dinner plate.
Okay, got it.
A Fermi bubble isn't on the plate itself. Instead, imagine two massive balloons blowing out from the exact center of the plate, one pointing straight up and one pointing straight down.
Oh, like a giant hourglass shape going through the middle.
Exactly. These bubbles are colossal, towering structures of highly energetic gas and radiation, spanning tens of thousands of light years.
That is massive.
It is. And they're powered by the supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy feeding on cosmic material. Now, during a galactic collision during the Pralaya, this polar energy becomes completely unbalanced. The gravitational chaos disrupts the core.
And so the bubbler pops.
Basically, it erupts. It emits a fierce, utterly deadly wave of gamma and X-ray radiation. That wave of radiation is Sheshnag's poison.
That is insane. And this radiation is what burns the lower sections of the galaxy, what the ancients called the Atala Loka, completely to ashes.
Precisely.
But wait, I'm struggling with this part. I got to push back here.
Sure.
If you have a wave of cosmic radiation intense enough to literally vaporize a quadrant of the galaxy, there is no safe distance.
Right.
I mean, it's not a localized forest fire you can just outrun. It's gamma radiation sweeping through space. So how could the upper realms possibly survive that?
That is exactly the right question to ask, because you are thinking about the actual physics of it. So let's look at the mechanics of that supermassive black hole, the engine generating those Fermi bubbles.
Okay.
When two galaxies collide, the immense gravitational shear fundamentally disrupts the accretion disk at the center.
The accretion disk being the stuff swirling around the black hole, right?
Right, the fuel. The black hole gets violently separated from its fuel supply.
Ah. So the gravitational tearing of the collision essentially unplugs the energy source, like a faulty nuclear reactor where the core melts down and destroys itself before the radiation can spread everywhere.
That's a great analogy, exactly. The text specifies that the galactic collision physically destroys the cosmic poles themselves.
Wow.
Because the poles, the galactic center points generating these massive Fermi bubbles, are physically crushed, their feeding mechanism is destroyed by the colliding galaxies. The very source of the deadly radiation is eliminated. The engine dies.
So the upper realms survive the radiation simply because the cosmic machinery generating the poison gets shut down by the collision itself.
Right. They don't get incinerated by the Fermi bubble emissions because the source is cut off before the radiation can permeate the entire upper structure of the galaxy.
Okay, that makes sense. But they aren't totally out of the woods, because if two galaxies are merging, they still have to endure the physical chaos.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they survive the cosmic radiation, but they are still caught in the horrific physical turbulence of crashing solar systems.
Right, the rocks are still smashing into each other.
Exactly. When galaxies merge, gravity goes completely rogue, stars are stripped from their orbits, planets are flung out into the freezing void of deep space, and massive tidal forces shred celestial bodies to pieces.
Which brings up a massive problem. Since the upper realms survive the radiation but are still caught in this insane physical chaos of crashing galaxies, how could biological life possibly survive the impact?
It's a huge hurdle.
Because, yeah, you can dodge the radiation, but you still have rogue, planet-sized asteroids tearing through your solar system.
Yeah.
How does life not just get completely wiped out?
And this is where we see the introduction of the Matsya avatar.
The giant mythological fish.
Right. The ancient Hindu story says that amidst this absolute mega destruction, this giant divine fish appears, and it is pulling a boat.
Okay.
Inside this boat are a figure named Manu and the Saptarishis, who are known as the Seven Sages.
See, on the surface, that sounds like every standard flood myth we've ever heard. You know, a boat, a creator deity, a few chosen survivors riding out the storm.
It totally does. But when we analyze the translation of this specific event, it reveals something staggering.
What is it?
That boat is not a wooden raft floating on terrestrial water. The text explicitly identifies it as a cosmic vehicle.
Wait, so they are describing a spacecraft?
Essentially, yes. A highly advanced cosmic ark built by divine intelligence. And the Matsya avatar is towing it not through a literal ocean of water, but through what the texts call the ocean of the galaxy.
The ocean of the galaxy.
Yeah. It is navigating the interstellar medium, the vacuum of deep space during a galactic collision.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because if you picture this, Manu and the Seven Sages aren't just a bunch of guys with long white beards sitting in a wooden boat clutching the sides.
Right, not at all.
The source material states that they represent genetic data. They represent DNA.
Which is mind-blowing.
It is. The Seven Sages represent the fundamental classifications and building blocks of life. So it's not a fishing boat carrying refugees. It is an ancient description of a floating cosmic hard drive.
It is entirely about data preservation.
Think about the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. That massive, heavily armored bunker up in the Arctic Circle.
Oh yeah, in Norway, where humanity stores the genetic blueprints of every plant species just in case of a global apocalypse.
Exactly. It is the exact same concept, just scaled up to a galactic level.
Right. But instead of being buried in a mountain of ice on Earth, this genetic vault is navigating through deep space. Manu and the Saptarishis are the biological code being stored on the servers.
That is wild.
And what's fascinating here is the sheer scale of the engineering being described. When the physical substrate, meaning the planets and the habitable zones, is being completely shredded by rogue gravity and galactic mergers, the biological data must be isolated and shielded.
So they had to get it out of there.
Exactly. The entire purpose of this cosmic ark is to safely extract these genetic blueprints from a dying, crashing galaxy and transfer them to a completely new, stable environment.
To rebuild.
The goal is to rebuild civilization. The ark protects the genetic code of life from the physical destruction of the Pralaya, so that when the celestial dust finally settles, life can begin again.
I mean, it sounds exactly like a sci-fi movie.
Oh.
The idea of genetic blueprints traveling through the freezing vacuum of space, dodging cosmic debris, shielded inside a specialized vessel.
It does.
But as crazy as it sounds to find this embedded in an ancient text, modern astrophysics actually has a term for this exact phenomenon.
Yeah, they do. It is called the theory of panspermia.
Let's explore that mechanism, because this is where the ancient epics and the modern laboratory really shake hands.
Right. So panspermia is the modern scientific theory proposing that the seeding of life is not limited to just one planet.
Okay.
It suggests that life, or at least the complex building blocks of life, like amino acids and genetic material, can exist throughout the universe. And more importantly, it can be distributed by space dust, meteoroids, asteroids, comets, or planetoids.
But wait, how does a biological organism survive the vacuum of space? I mean, we're talking about 0 Kelvin temperatures, intense solar radiation, lack of oxygen.
It's extreme.
Yeah. How do you keep DNA viable in a freezing vacuum for millions of years while it travels from one solar system to another?
It all comes down to the incredible resilience of extremophiles. Modern science dictates that certain microscopic organisms can absolutely survive the harsh conditions of deep space through a process called cryptobiosis.
Cryptobiosis, meaning hidden life.
Exactly. Take the tardigrade, for example, often called a water bear.
Oh, I've seen pictures of those, the little microscopic guys that look like puffy bears.
That's them. When faced with the freezing vacuum of space, they don't just hold their breath. They fundamentally alter their biology.
Wait, really?
Yeah. They expel almost all the water from their bodies and replace it with a specialized protein that turns their internal fluids into a glass-like state.
So they essentially turn their insides into glass so that ice crystals don't form and shred their DNA.
Exactly. They shut down their metabolism to less than 0.01% of normal. They become virtually indestructible biological seeds.
Wow.
And they don't travel naked through space, obviously. Debris. An asteroid or a comet acts as a thick thermal and radiation shield.
Oh, I see.
So when an entire solar system faces destruction during a Pralaya, these biological seeds can get ejected into the interstellar ocean. They travel through space, sometimes for millions of years, perfectly preserved in glass, until they crash into other favorable newly formed planets.
And then what?
Well, the heat of entry melts the ice, the water returns, and life restarts.
That is genuinely incredible. And if you really think about it, the ancient texts are describing the exact same mechanism.
They really are.
I mean, modern science says genetic material placed in a state of stasis, traveling inside protective comets to safely seed new planets.
Yeah.
And the ancient Hindu text says Manu and the Saptarishis, representing DNA, traveling inside a shielded cosmic ark, pulled by a divine force through the galactic ocean to seed a new world.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the ancient text makes a very specific distinction that elevates it beyond just modern biology.
How so?
Well, the Matsya avatar pulling the ark through the galactic ocean isn't just a random act of survival. The epics define it as the most advanced manifestation of conscious panspermia.
Conscious panspermia, meaning it isn't an accident.
Correct. Traditional scientific panspermia relies on the cosmic lottery.
Right. Just dumb luck.
Exactly. It's random chance. A meteorite filled with amino acids just happening to hit a habitable zone on a rocky planet with liquid water, against odds of billions to 1. But conscious panspermia implies directed, intentional preservation.
So the Matsya avatar isn't just a fish. It represents the guiding intelligence of the universe.
Exactly. It represents an active intelligence ensuring the absolute continuity of life. It guarantees that biological data survives regardless of the physical destruction of entire galaxies during a Manvantara.
It's like a cosmic insurance policy.
Exactly. It suggests the universe is actively participating in its own repopulation, ensuring that the seeds of life are intentionally steered toward viable new solar systems rather than just drifting aimlessly into the void.
So what does this all mean for the listener and me? I mean, if life operates on this massive, unimaginably long cycle of galactic destruction and conscious cosmic seeding, where did the seeds from that specific cosmic arc end up?
Well, think about the ecosystem right outside your window right now.
Okay.
Because the text actually tells us where that arc landed, doesn't it?
It does. And this is the most profound realization of the entire text. According to the astrophysics data encoded in the epics, the destination of that cosmic arc is exactly where you are sitting right now.
Which is just, it gives you goosebumps.
Explain that to the audience, because I had to read that twice.
The text details that the cosmic seeds, the genetic data, protected and transported by the Matsya arc through the violent galactic collision, laid the direct foundation for what is called the Vivasvata Manvantara.
The Vivasvata Manvantara.
Yes, and the Vivasvata Manvantara is our current epoch. It is the creation we are living in today, right now.
Wait, really? Our universe?
Yes. The narrative maps out that after the old galaxies collided, after the Fermi bubbles erupted and the cosmic poles were destroyed, it took eons for the dust to settle. But eventually, new stars ignited. Our solar system formed from the accretion disk of that cosmic dust. And those exact biological seeds, consciously protected by the Matsya arc, were deposited here on early Earth. They built our present reality.
Man, that is heavy.
Your biology, the complex ecosystems on this planet, the whole of modern human civilization. The text is claiming that all of it stems from the DNA data saved on that specific cosmic arc.
It completely reframes everything. It's not just a mythological story about some other universe or some abstract spiritual realm. It is an origin story of our specific physical reality mapped out using the literal mechanics of astrophysics and extremophile biology.
Yeah.
But it was written down thousands of years before the telescope or the microscope were even invented.
Which successfully acts as irrefutable proof connecting the epic narratives of ancient civilizations directly with modern astrophysics. It proves they aren't mutually exclusive.
They were observing the exact same universe, just using different languages to record the data.
Exactly. The ancient texts aren't primitive, simplistic misunderstandings of a scary world. They are highly sophisticated scientific records. And they were beautifully, intentionally encoded into myth so they could survive the ultimate test of time.
That makes so much sense, though. It's like they knew that literal, dry scientific papers might get lost or burned, or the language might decay over millennia.
Oh, for sure, emoluments crumble.
Right, but a story about a giant divine fish towing a cosmic boat through a churning ocean. People will repeat that story around a fire for 10,000 years. The data survives because the narrative is unforgettable.
And this raises an important question about how we view human history and the knowledge of our ancestors. Knowledge is most valuable when we look at it through multiple lenses.
Absolutely.
When we strip away the arrogance of the modern era and apply the lens of astrophysics to these ancient words, we unlock a massive vault of data that has been hiding in plain sight for centuries.
So let's recap this incredible journey for everyone, because we have covered massive ground today on this deep dive.
We really have.
We started by looking at what seemed like a simple mythological fish, and we ended up exploring the literal mechanics of galactic collisions.
Right.
We decoded ancient cosmic serpents into radiation-spewing Fermi bubbles and explored how the gravitational tearing of supermassive black holes acts like a failing nuclear reactor, saving the upper regions of a galaxy from gamma radiation but plunging them into physical chaos.
And in the midst of that chaos, we saw the Matsya avatar towing a cosmic DNA arc.
A literal Svalbard seed vault in space, filled with the genetic blueprints of humanity, a concept that flawlessly mirrors the modern astrophysical science of panspermia, where extremophiles enter cryptobiosis to survive the deep freeze of the interstellar medium.
And most importantly, we learned that this conscious, directed seeding of life through the cosmos is what laid the foundation for the Vivasvata Manvantara, the exact cosmic age that you and I and everyone listening are existing in right now. It is a brilliant testament to ancient texts encoding complex scientific truths into enduring narratives.
It really changes how you look up at the night sky. Which leaves us with one final thought for you to mull over. We've established that our current epoch, everything we know and love, was seeded by a cosmic arc, fleeing a dying, colliding galaxy in the deep past. So it makes you wonder, when our own era, our own Manvantara, eventually comes to an end in some distant future, when our galaxy merges with Andromeda, will humanity just cross its fingers and rely on random meteorites to carry our DNA? Or will we be the ones building the next cosmic arc to consciously seed the stars?
That is the ultimate question.
Something to think about the next time you look at the stars. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.